Hello again and welcome back to the garden. I'm really excited today because not only is the sun shining, are the daffs out behind me, but you know what? I also get to share with you the final results from the Seed Compost Experiment 2026. And it's time to find out who will be the winners, who will be the losers, and will life ever be the same again? Now don't worry if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, although obviously I do recommend that you watch those. But it's actually a month since I did the last update, so I'm going to do a quick recap as to what we've done, where we're up to, so we're all on the same page. Yes, so back at the beginning of February, I selected 6 different compost brands. Now 3 of them were multi-purpose composts and 3 of them were specialist seed mixes. And really the whole aim of this experiment is to see, is it worth spending that extra bit of cash on specialist seed mixes, or do multi-purpose composts do the job just as well? So how well are the different seed composts faring up to now? Well, I have to tell you that the results have really been very mixed, and it's quite hard for me to summarise here. But remember, there's 6 different compost types, and we've got 1st, 3rd and 5th place being taken up by a seed compost. So some of them are performing really well and some of them not so well. Now in 1st place we have Westland John Innes, and you know what, 28 out of a total of 30 seeds germinated. How fantastic is that? And it really does make them the front runner for this year and the one to beat. But if I go down the table then, in 3rd place we had the Mr Fothergill's Enhanced Coir Bricks, 26 out of 30. Again, I think that's really fantastic, and I did use these bricks in the experiment last year and they performed really well for me. So I think they are another great option for seed sowing. And finally, the continued disappointment of Rocket Grow. Now, I used Rocket Grow in the experiment last year, it didn't do very well, and it's again not performing very well for me this year. It's in 5th place with a total of 19 out of 30 seeds germinating. So yeah, it's got a lot to make up in this round. Let's go check on my tomato and zinnia seeds now that I sowed at the beginning of March, and let's see how they're getting on. So let's start then by taking a quick peek at my zinnia seeds. Now, this is the first time that I've ever grown zinnia, and I'm really delighted with how well they've all germinated. Particularly, it has to be said, the ones in the seed compost mixes. So these are the ones with the blue tags here. You know, we've got a total of 7 out of 9 seeds that have germinated, and that's pretty good, I think. You know, we've got complete germination with the Westland John Innes. Those plants are looking really healthy and strong. They've already got their 2nd leaves. And then if you look to the Coir and the Rocket Grow, we've got 2 out of a possible 3 seeds germinate. It does actually look like there is an extra seed that germinated in the Rocket Grow over here. But sadly, it seems like it germinated and died, which is kind of a fear I have for my tomato seeds that are sown in the Rocket Grow. But I'll show you that in a second. Moving on then to the ones that were sown in the multi-purpose compost. Now, this is interesting because if you remember, I actually went to the trouble of sieving this compost to see if it would improve the germination rates. And I feel like the jury's still out a bit on that one. So the Miracle Grow here. It is true that we've got a total of 3 out of 3 seeds that have germinated, but look how small and sort of weak they look compared to the Westland John Innes seedlings. You know, they don't look that healthy at all, and I don't know if they're going to survive or not. The Melcourt Silver Grow there in the middle, 2 out of 3. I think they're looking pretty good, those seedlings. And the Dalefoot, 1 out of 3. So, yeah, I'm not convinced that sieving has really made much difference. The Dalefoot hasn't performed very well, and it's funny because this compost is meant to be for vegetables and salads, and it's almost like it knew, like, no, this is a flower. We don't perform for flowers. So yeah, let's bring then in the tomatoes. Yeah, so moving on then to my tomato seeds. These are all of the variety Golden Sunrise, which are one of my favourite varieties to grow. Beautiful plum yellow tomatoes, which are usually ready for harvest very early on in the season. So I totally recommend them. So the ones in blue here, they're all in the seed compost mix. The Koya, you see you've got 3 out of 3 germination. They're looking really good and healthy. Yeah, and I've grown all of my other varieties in the Koya mix actually, and they're looking really good. Moving on then, the Western John Innes. Again, a total of 3 out of 3 have germinated, looking really good and healthy. And then, yeah, finally, the Rocket Grow at the end there. You can kind of see what I mean, I hope. So one is definitely growing strong and it's germinated. The 2 others have germinated, but they kind of look like they might have died. Yeah, not very convincing at all. And then, yeah, let me bring in then the multi-purpose. So the multi-purpose mixes aren't doing quite as well, with the exception of the Melcourt Silver Grow in the middle there, which has got 3 out of 3 that have germinated. But yeah, the Miracle Grow and the Delfoot, just 1 of 3, and they're not looking especially healthy, particularly Miracle Grow at the end there. That's looking a bit sad and sorry for itself. So yeah, I'm really not convinced by the sieving. I mean, the 2 heaviest mixes, which took the longest amount of time to sieve, were the Miracle Grow and the Delfoot. And yeah, it doesn't really seem to have improved the germination rates very much. Yeah, so I'm really delighted with how well my tomatoes and my zinnia seeds have germinated. I've added together the results from the first and the second round of the seed compost experiment this year, and I can now reveal the winners and the losers for 2026. Are you ready? My view is that it really makes sense to buy seed compost if you've got something that maybe you know that you struggle to germinate, you know, you've had problems with in the past. I mean, I mentioned spring onions have been a bit tricky for me, and I found that they did really well in the Western John Innes. If you're trying to grow something and you know that that plant has a really long period from sowing the seed to harvest time, I mean, classic examples are things like chilies and sweet peppers. Things like tomatoes in the UK, we do need quite a long period, and we're not guaranteed that much, you know, sun, so it is always good to get them off to a good start. My second learning is that I'm really not going to do sieving again. When I look at the results from the first round where I didn't sieve the multi-purpose to the second round where I did, they're really not big enough a difference to make me want to do it again. I just found it so laborious and time consuming. And yeah, yeah, so that marks the end of the seed compost experiment for 2026. I do hope that you've enjoyed watching along with me. I've had a tremendous amount of fun. You know, it's so much fun trying out all the different compost mixes. I never would do that if I didn't have a channel. And I have to tell you, if you've watched all 4 of these videos, firstly, thank you, but also you deserve a medal too. You're also a winner. Now do let me know in the comments section if there's anything that you've particularly enjoyed or you've learned that maybe you're going to do differently with your seed sowing this year. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.